The Chronicles of Narnia, The Silver Chair. Author, C.S. Lewis. I chose this book because C.S. Lewis happens to be one of my favorite authors. In my 5th grade school year, I fell in love with all the books and movies that came out about the series. The Chronicles of Narnia is a series about the Bible. The author hid these events in his books so that he was able to relate to the young people about the events in the Bible. My favorite book is The Silver Chair, which I will read right now, the chapter 1, Behind the Gym. It was a dull autumn day, and Jill Pole was crying behind the gym. She was crying because they had been bullying her. This is not going to be a school story, so I shall say as little as possible about Jill's school, which is not a pleasant subject. It was coeducational, a school for both boys and girls, what used to be called a mixed school. Some said it was not nearly so mixed as the minds of the people who ran it. These people had the idea that boys and girls should be allowed to do what they liked. And unfortunately, what 10 or 15 of the biggest boys and girls liked best was bullying the others. All sorts of things, horrid things, went on which an ordinary school would have found out and stopped in half a term. But at this school, they were not. Or even if they were, the people who did them were not expelled or punished. The head said they were interesting psychological cases, and sent for them and talked to them for hours. And if you knew the right things to say to the head, the main result was that you became rather a favorite than otherwise. That was why Jill Pole was crying on that dull autumn day, on the damp little patch which runs between the back of the gym and the shrubbery. And she hadn't nearly finished her cry when a boy came around the corner of the gym whistling, with his hands in his pockets. He nearly ran into her. "Can't you look where you're going?" said Jill Pole. "All right," said the boy. "You needn't start." And then he noticed her face. "I say, Pole, what's up?" Jill only made faces, the sort you make when you're trying to say something, but find that if you speak, you'll start crying again. "It's them, I suppose, as usual," said the boy, grimly digging his hands further into his pockets. Jill nodded. There was no need for her to say anything, even if she could have said it. They both knew. "Now look here," said the boy. "There's no good us all." He meant well, but he did talk rather like someone beginning a lecture. Jill suddenly flew into a temper, which is quite a likely thing to happen if you have been interrupted in a cry. "Oh, go away and mind your own business," she said. "Nobody asked you to come barging in, did they? And you're a nice person to start telling us what we all ought to do, aren't you? I suppose you mean we all ought to spend all our time sucking up to them, and currying favor, and dancing attendance on them like you do." "Oh, lor," said the boy, sitting down on the grassy bank at the edge of the shrubbery, and very quickly getting up again because the grass was soaking wet. His name, unfortunately, was Eustace Scrubb, but he wasn't a bad sort. "Pole," he said, "is that fair? Have I been doing anything of the sort this semester? Didn't I stand up to Carter about the rabbit? And didn't I keep the secret about Spivs under torture, too? And didn't I don't know, and I don't care," sobbed Jill. Scrub saw that she wasn't quite herself yet, and very sensibly offered her a peppermint. He had one too. Presently Jill began to see things in a clear light. "I'm sorry, Scrub," she said presently. "I wasn't fair. You've done all that this term.